Rosa Martinez never thought her life would change because of a piece of crumpled paper in a trash can. But sometimes the most incredible stories begin in the most ordinary places. Every night at 11 p.m., Rosa would meet her father Diego at the back entrance of Sterling Financial Tower. While other 22-year-olds were out with friends or relaxing at home, Rosa was putting on rubber gloves and grabbing a cleaning cart. The 40-story building in downtown Manhattan was where her father had worked as a night janitor for the past 15 years. Diego Martinez was a proud man who had immigrated from El Salvador with nothing but hope and determination. He raised Rosa alone after her mother passed away when Rosa was just 12. Despite working long hours for barely enough money to pay rent on their small apartment in Queens, Diego always told his daughter the same thing every morning when he came home tired. Education is the key that opens every door, mija. Study hard, and one day you won't have to clean up after rich people like your old man. Rosa took those words to heart. During the day, she attended community college, studying business and accounting. At night, she helped her father clean offices so they could afford her textbooks and school supplies. She was carrying a full course load while working 25 hours a week. But Rosa never complained. She knew her father was sacrificing everything to give her opportunities he never had. The Sterling Financial Building was like stepping into another world. Rosa would push her cart through marble lobbies decorated with expensive artwork and crystal chandeliers. The executive floors had floor-to-ceiling windows that offered breathtaking views of the city skyline. Every desk was equipped with multiple computer screens showing stock charts and financial data that looked like a foreign language to most people. But not to Rosa. During her breaks, she would often find herself staring at the abandoned computer screens, trying to understand the colorful graphs and numbers. Her business classes had taught her the basics of financial markets, but seeing real trading data up close fascinated her. She began bringing her accounting textbook to work, studying during her 15-minute breaks in empty conference rooms. Rosa's curiosity didn't go unnoticed by the security guards who monitored the building through cameras. They started calling her the student janitor and would often find her reading financial newspapers that executives had left behind. Instead of throwing them away, Rosa would carefully fold them and take them home to read during her commute to school. One particular evening in March changed everything. Rosa was cleaning the corner office on the 38th floor, which belonged to one of the company's senior vice presidents. The office was larger than her entire apartment, with a private bathroom and a conference table that could seat 12 people. As she emptied the wastebasket beside the massive mahogany desk, a financial report caught her eye. The document was titled, Q2 Investment Projections for Renewable Energy Portfolio. Rosa knew she shouldn't be reading confidential company documents, but something about the numbers didn't look right. Her accounting professor had recently taught them about calculating return on investment, and the figures in this report seemed off. Rosa sat down at the desk and spread the report out in front of her. Using a calculator app on her phone, she began checking the math. After 30 minutes of careful calculations, she realized there was a significant error. The report projected a 15% return on a solar energy investment, but based on the actual numbers provided, the real return would be negative 8%. Someone had miscalculated by over 20 percentage points. This wasn't just a small mistake. According to the report, the company was planning to invest $200 million based on these projections. If Rosa's calculations were correct, they would lose millions of dollars instead of making the profit they expected. Rosa stared at the report for a long time, her heart racing. Should she pretend she never saw it? After all, she was just a janitor's daughter who cleaned offices. Who would believe her? What if she was wrong and ended up embarrassing herself and her father? But Rosa remembered something her accounting professor had said during class just last week. In the business world, integrity matters more than anything else. If you see something wrong and stay silent, you become part of the problem. Rosa pulled out a piece of paper and began writing. a careful explanation of the error she had discovered. She showed her work step by step, just like her professor had taught her. She wrote in clear, simple language, explaining how the miscalculation had occurred and what the correct projections should be. When she finished writing, Rosa folded the note and placed it prominently on the executive's desk. She wrote on the outside, "Important mathematical error in Q2 renewable energy projections. Please review urgently." She signed it simply, "A concerned employee." The next morning, Rosa attended her macroeconomics class as usual, but she couldn't concentrate. All she could think about was the note she had left. What if the executive was angry that someone had gone through his documents? What if they reviewed the security footage and discovered it was her? What if her father lost his job because of what she had done? Meanwhile, at Sterling Financial Tower, Vice President Robert Chen arrived at his office to find Rosa's note waiting for him. He had been with the company for 12 years and was known for his attention to detail. When he read Rosa's explanation, he immediately pulled up the original report on his computer. It took him less than 10 minutes to confirm that Rosa was absolutely right. The error was so significant that it would have cost the company not just the initial investment, but potentially their reputation with major clients. Chen immediately called an emergency meeting with the finance team to review all related documents. By noon, word had reached the top floor. Jonathan Sterling, the company's CEO, wanted to know who had discovered the error. When Chen explained that it was an anonymous note left by a concerned employee, Sterling insisted on finding out who had saved the company from such a massive mistake. It didn't take long for security to review the footage and identify Rosa. That evening, as she and her father were preparing to start their cleaning shift, they were approached by a man in an expensive suit waiting by the employee entrance. "Excuse me, are you Rosa Martinez?" the man asked politely. Rosa's father immediately stepped protectively in front of his daughter. "Is there a problem, sir? My daughter is a good worker. She never causes any trouble." "There's no problem at all," the man smiled. "Actually, quite the opposite. My name is Jonathan Sterling. I own this building, and I'd like to speak with your daughter about something very important." Rosa couldn't believe that the CEO of Sterling Financial was standing in front of her, asking to speak with her personally. Her father's eyes widened in surprise and concern. "Sir, if this is about the note I left last night, I can explain," Rosa said nervously. "That's exactly what I want to talk about," Sterling replied. "That note you wrote saved my company millions of dollars. I've been in this business for 25 years, and I've never seen such accurate analysis from someone without a formal finance background. Where did you learn to spot errors like that?" Rosa explained about her business classes and how she had always been good with numbers. She told Sterling about her dream of working in finance someday and how she studied financial reports during her breaks because she found them fascinating. Sterling listened carefully, asking questions about her education and her understanding of different financial concepts. He was impressed not just by her knowledge, but by her honesty and work ethic. Here was someone who could have easily ignored the error or demanded a reward for finding it, but instead had simply done what she thought was right. "Rosa, I'd like to offer you a position in our finance department," Sterling said. "It would be an entry-level analyst role, but it comes with full benefits, opportunities for advancement, and tuition assistance if you want to continue your education." Rosa couldn't speak. Her father stood beside her with tears in his eyes. This was the opportunity they had dreamed about but never thought would actually happen. "I know this is sudden," Sterling continued, "but talent like yours shouldn't be wasted cleaning offices. You belong in a boardroom, not pushing a cleaning cart." That night, Rosa sat in her small bedroom, staring at the business card Jonathan Sterling had given her. In just 24 hours, her entire life had changed. The girl who had been invisible to everyone except her father was now being offered a chance to work alongside some of the most successful financial minds in the city. Diego knocked on her door and sat down beside her on the bed. "I'm so proud of you, mija," he said softly. "Your mother would be proud too." "Papa, what if I'm not smart enough? What if I fail?" Rosa asked. Diego smiled and took his daughter's hand. "You just saved a company millions of dollars with a piece of paper and a calculator. You're ready for this, Rosa. You've always been ready." 3 weeks later, Rosa Martinez walked through the marble lobby of Sterling Financial Tower wearing a business suit instead of cleaning clothes. She carried a briefcase instead of rubber gloves, and she rode the elevator to the 25th floor instead of taking the service stairs to the basement. 6 months had passed since Rosa Martinez started working as a financial analyst at Sterling Financial. What began as checking simple calculations had evolved into something much bigger. Rosa wasn't just good with numbers. She had an almost magical ability to spot patterns that others missed. Her first major success came when she noticed unusual trading patterns in copper futures. While senior analysts were focused on traditional indicators, Rosa spotted something different. She spent 3 days creating detailed charts and graphs, staying late every night to double-check her work. When she finally presented her findings to the team, they discovered a major market manipulation that was about to affect copper prices worldwide. The company made $15 million by adjusting their positions based on Rosa's analysis. More importantly, they helped expose the manipulation to regulatory authorities, earning Sterling Financial recognition as a company that put integrity before profit. Word of Rosa's talents began spreading beyond Sterling Financial. Industry magazines started writing articles about the wonder analyst, who had risen from cleaning offices to predicting market movements with incredible accuracy. Financial blogs featured her story, calling her the most promising young talent on Wall Street. But Rosa remained humble. Every morning, she still took the subway from Queens to Manhattan, carrying the same lunch her father packed for her, a sandwich, an apple, and a thermos of coffee. She wore simple business attire from discount stores, saving most of her salary, to help pay off her father's medical bills and to support her younger cousin's college education. Her reputation reached unexpected places. In a glass office tower in Dubai, Sheikh Abdullah Al-Rashid was reading the latest issue of Global Finance magazine over his morning coffee. The article, titled "Rising Stars of American Finance," featured Rosa's photograph and detailed her remarkable journey from janitor's daughter to financial prodigy. Sheikh Abdullah was intrigued. His own financial empire was facing serious challenges. For decades, his family's wealth had come from oil, but the world was changing rapidly. Electric cars were becoming popular, countries were investing in solar and wind power, and oil prices were becoming increasingly unpredictable. He needed someone who could help diversify his investments into new industries, someone who could see opportunities that traditional advisors missed. The Sheikh's research team spent 2 weeks gathering every piece of information they could find about Rosa Martinez. They studied her investment recommendations, analyzed her success rate, and interviewed people who had worked with her. What they discovered impressed them even more than the magazine articles had suggested. Rosa had a 93% success rate with her investment predictions. She had helped Sterling Financial increase their profits by 40% in just 6 months. Most remarkably, she had done all of this while maintaining the highest ethical standards, never recommending investments that would harm communities or the environment. 3 weeks later, Rosa was sitting at her desk reviewing quarterly reports when her phone rang. The caller introduced himself as Dr. Hassan Mahmoud, representing the Al-Rashid Financial Group from Dubai. "Ms. Martinez, Sheikh Abdullah Al-Rashid would like to extend a formal invitation for you to visit Dubai as his guest," Dr. Mahmoud explained in perfect English. "He has a business proposition that could be very interesting for someone with your talents." Rosa was confused. She had never heard of Sheikh Abdullah, and she certainly had never done any business in the Middle East. "I think you might have the wrong person," she said politely. "I'm just an analyst at Sterling Financial." "We have exactly the right person," Dr. Mahmoud replied with a warm laugh. The Sheikh has been following your career very closely. He believes you could be the key to solving some very important financial challenges for his organization. Rosa asked for time to think about it and promised to call back within 24 hours. That evening, she researched Sheikh Abdullah and his family business. What she discovered amazed her. The Al-Rashid family controlled oil fields, shipping, companies, real estate developments, and technology investments worth over $50 billion. They owned hotels in London, office buildings in New York, and wind farms in Spain. When Rosa told her father about the invitation, Diego's reaction surprised her. Instead of being worried about his daughter traveling to a foreign country, he encouraged her to learn more about the opportunity. Rosa, opportunities like this don't come along every day, he said thoughtfully. At least hear what they have to say. You can always say no if you don't feel comfortable. 2 weeks later, Rosa found herself sitting in a first-class airplane seat for the first time in her life, flying to Dubai. The Al-Rashid family had sent a private car to pick her up from her apartment, and everything about the trip felt like a dream. Dubai was unlike anything Rosa had ever seen. The city rose from the desert like something from a science fiction movie, with gleaming skyscrapers and artificial islands shaped like palm trees. The Al-Rashid offices occupied 3 floors of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. Sheikh Abdullah turned out to be a soft-spoken man in his 50s who spoke English with a slight British accent. He welcomed Rosa warmly and spent their first meeting simply getting to know her as a person. He asked about her family, her education, and her dreams for the future. "I have read about your work, Ms. Martinez," he said over lunch in his private dining room overlooking the Persian Gulf. "But I am more interested in understanding your philosophy about money and success." Rosa explained her belief that financial success should create opportunities for others, not just wealth for the wealthy. She talked about how her father's sacrifices had taught her that money was a tool for building better lives, not just accumulating possessions. Sheikh Abdullah nodded approvingly. "This is exactly why I wanted to meet you personally. Too many financial advisors only care about maximizing profits. I need someone who understands that wealth carries responsibility." The next day, Sheikh Abdullah presented his offer. He wanted Rosa to become the chief investment strategist for his entire global portfolio. She would oversee investments worth over $50 billion with complete authority to buy and sell assets as she saw fit. The position would come with a salary of $20 million per year, plus performance bonuses that could easily double that amount. But that wasn't all. The Sheikh also offered her a signing bonus of $866 million, more money than Rosa could have imagined in her wildest dreams. The contract included a luxury apartment in Dubai, a private jet for travel, and access to the family's vacation homes in Switzerland, France, and the Caribbean. Rosa sat in stunned silence as Dr. Mahmoud explained the details of the offer. $866 million would make her one of the wealthiest people in America overnight. She could buy her father a mansion, send her cousin to Harvard, and donate millions to charity. "This is an incredible offer," Rosa finally managed to say, "but I need time to consider it carefully." "Of course," Sheikh Abdullah replied. "Take all the time you need, but I hope you understand that this opportunity represents something very special. We are not just offering you money. We are offering you the chance to shape the future of global finance." That night, Rosa sat on the balcony of her hotel room, looking out at the lights of Dubai. She called her father, and they talked for over an hour about the decision she faced. Diego reminded her that no matter what she chose, he would be proud of her. "The most important question," he said, "is not how much money they are offering. The question is whether this opportunity will help you become the person you want to be." Rosa spent 3 sleepless nights thinking about the Sheikh's offer. $866 million would change everything, not just for her, but for her entire family and community. She could start scholarship programs for kids from poor families, help her father retire in comfort, and never worry about money again. But accepting the offer would mean leaving behind everything she had built at Sterling Financial. It would mean saying goodbye to Jonathan Sterling, who had given her the chance that started her incredible journey. Most importantly, it would mean abandoning the financial inclusion programs she had been developing to help working-class families build wealth through small investments. Rosa realized that this decision would define not just her career, but the kind of person she wanted to become. The girl who had found her first opportunity in a piece of paper from a trash can now faced the biggest choice of her life. The answer she gave would shock the business world and set in motion events that no one could have predicted. Rosa Martinez stood in front of the bathroom mirror in her Dubai hotel room, practicing what she was going to say. Tomorrow morning, she would give Sheikh Abdullah her answer to his $866 million offer. After 3 days of deep thinking and long phone calls with her father, she had made her decision. The choice hadn't been easy. Rosa had made a list of pros and cons, calculated how the money could change her family's life forever, and imagined all the good she could do with such incredible wealth. But every time she thought about accepting, something felt wrong in her heart. At 9 o'clock the next morning, Rosa sat across from Sheikh Abdullah in his office overlooking the sparkling waters of the Persian Gulf. Dr. Mahmoud was there too, with a thick contract ready for her signature. "Sheikh Abdullah, I am deeply honored by your offer," Rosa began, her voice steady despite her nervousness. $866 million is more money than I ever dreamed possible. Your confidence in my abilities means everything to me. The sheikh leaned forward, sensing that Rosa was about to decline his offer. "But I have to say no," Rosa continued. "I believe my purpose right now is to help ordinary families build wealth, not to manage money for people who already have billions. I want to create opportunities for people like my father, people who work hard every day, but never get a real chance to improve their lives." Sheikh Abdullah was quiet for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. "Miss Martinez, your answer tells me that my research about your character was absolutely correct. You are exactly the kind of person the world needs more of." "You're not angry?" Rosa asked, surprised by his reaction. "Angry? Not at all," the sheikh replied. "I am impressed. Anyone can chase money, but very few people can walk away from it when their principles are at stake. I respect your decision completely." 2 days later, Rosa was back in New York, sitting at her desk at Sterling Financial. It felt strange to be in the same office where her journey had begun just 8 months earlier. She had turned down more money than most people could imagine, but she felt peaceful about her choice. What Rosa didn't know was that Jonathan Sterling had been following her trip to Dubai very closely. He had contacts throughout the international finance world, and word of Sheikh Abdullah's offer had reached him within hours of Rosa's meeting. Sterling spent the weekend thinking about what Rosa's decision meant. Here was a young woman who had saved his company millions of dollars, increased their profits dramatically, and now had turned down a fortune to stay loyal to her principles and her team. He realized that Rosa represented something rare in the business world: genuine integrity, combined with extraordinary talent. On Monday morning, Sterling called an emergency meeting with his board of directors. The 12 executives who ran Sterling Financial gathered in the conference room on the 40th floor, wondering why their CEO had called such an urgent meeting. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sterling began, "I want to talk to you about Rosa Martinez and what happened in Dubai last week." Several board members shifted uncomfortably. They had heard rumors about the Sheikh's offer and were worried that Sterling Financial was about to lose their most valuable analyst. "Rosa turned down $866 million to stay with our company," Sterling announced. "Let me repeat that she walked away from nearly $1 billion because she believes in what we're building here." The room fell silent. Even these experienced executives who dealt with large sums of money every day were stunned by the amount Rosa had rejected. "This got me thinking," Sterling continued. "If Rosa is willing to sacrifice that much for our company, what are we willing to sacrifice for her? I'm proposing that we restructure Sterling Financial to make Rosa a full partner and co-CEO. Board." Member Patricia Williams nearly choked on her coffee. "Jonathan, with all due respect, Rosa has been with us for less than a year. Making her co-CEO is the smartest business decision we could make," Sterling interrupted. "Rosa doesn't just analyze markets, she understands people. She sees opportunities that the rest of us miss because she comes from a world that most of us have never experienced." The debate that followed was intense. Some board members worried about Rosa's age and experience. Others questioned whether clients would take her seriously. But Sterling had made up his mind, and his passion was convincing. After 4 hours of discussion, the board voted unanimously to offer Rosa the partnership. But Sterling wasn't finished with his surprises. That evening, Sterling drove his Mercedes to Queens, something he had never done in his 25 years of living in Manhattan. He parked outside the modest apartment building where Rosa and her father lived and climbed 3 flights of stairs to their door. When Diego Martinez opened the door and saw one of New York's most powerful CEOs standing in his hallway, he thought, something terrible must have happened to his daughter. "Mr. Martinez, please don't worry," Sterling said quickly. "Rosa is fine. Actually, I'm here because of something wonderful she did." Sterling explained about Rosa's decision to turn down the Dubai offer and how it had inspired him to completely rethink his approach to business and leadership. "Sir, Rosa learned her values from you," Sterling told the surprised janitor. "If she's going to be my partner, then I want her family to be part of our family too." Sterling then offered Diego something that left the older man speechless. He wanted Diego to become the director of facilities management for all of Sterling Financial's properties. The job came with a salary of $150,000 per year, full health benefits, and stock options in the company. "Mr. Sterling, I don't understand," Diego said, tears forming in his eyes. "I'm just a janitor. I don't have a college education or business experience." "You raised a daughter who turned down nearly $1 billion because of her principles," Sterling replied. "That tells me everything I need to know about your qualifications." The next morning, Rosa arrived at work to find Sterling waiting for her with a smile bigger than she had ever seen. He led her to the conference room where the entire board of directors was assembled. "Rosa, we have a proposition for you," Sterling announced. "We want you to become co-CEO and full partner of Sterling Financial." Rosa sat down heavily in the nearest chair. "I don't understand. What about my trip to Dubai? I thought you might be upset that I was considering other opportunities." "Your decision in Dubai is exactly why we're making this offer," board member Robert Chen explained. "You proved that you can't be bought and that your loyalty to this company and its values is genuine." Sterling then explained about the $500 million foundation they wanted to create, dedicated to Rosa's vision of helping working families build wealth through smart investing. "And there's one more thing," Sterling added with a grin. "Your father is going to be our new director of facilities management." Rosa couldn't speak. In the span of 1 week, she had turned down the biggest financial offer in history, only to receive something even more valuable: true partnership with people who shared her values and vision for the future. That evening, Rosa and her father sat in their small kitchen, both wearing business suits for the first time in their lives. Diego was reading through his employment contract, still unable to believe that his life had changed so dramatically. "Papa, are you sure about this?" Rosa asked. "You've been cleaning buildings for 15 years. Managing facilities is completely different." Diego smiled and reached across the table to take his daughter's hand. "Rosa, you went from cleaning offices to turning down $1 billion in less than a year. I think I can learn to manage the people who clean offices." They both laughed, but Rosa could see the pride and excitement in her father's eyes. For the first time since her mother had died, Diego looked truly happy about the future. The business world was buzzing with news of Rosa's partnership and the creation of the Sterling Foundation. Financial magazines called it either the most brilliant leadership move of the decade or complete madness. Industry experts debated whether Sterling had rewarded loyalty or simply lost his mind. Sterling's response to the critics was simple and direct. "Great companies are built by great people," he told reporters, "and great people come from families that teach great values. Rosa Martinez and her father represent everything that's right about the American dream." As Rosa prepared for her new role as co-CEO, she thought about how far she had traveled from that night when she found a crumpled financial report in a trash can. She had learned that sometimes the biggest opportunities come from saying no to easy money and yes to hard work and integrity. The janitor's daughter was about to become one of the most powerful people on Wall Street, but she would never forget the lessons her father had taught her about the true meaning of success. 1 year later, Rosa Martinez Sterling stood in front of a mirror in her new corner office on the 40th floor of Sterling Financial Tower. She still couldn't believe that her name was now on the building directory as co-CEO. The girl who once cleaned these same windows was now making decisions that affected thousands of employees and millions of investors around the world. The transformation hadn't happened overnight. Rosa's first months as co-CEO were filled with challenges that tested every skill she had learned. Some clients questioned whether someone so young could handle their investments. Competitors spread rumors that Sterling Financial had lost its mind by promoting a former janitor's daughter to the top position, but Rosa proved them wrong, one success at a time. Her first major decision as co-CEO was to launch the Community Wealth Initiative, a program that allowed people to start investing with as little as $25. Traditional investment firms required minimum investments of $10,000 or more, which kept working families completely locked out of the stock market. Rosa's program was different. Families could invest their spare change through a simple phone app that she helped design. When someone bought coffee for $3.50, the app would round it up to $4 and invest the 50 cents automatically. It seemed like a small amount, but Rosa knew that small amounts could grow into something big over time. The program faced massive criticism from Wall Street veterans. "You can't build wealth with pocket change," they said. "These people don't understand the risks of investing." Some financial experts called it a publicity stunt that would hurt poor families more than it helped them. Rosa didn't listen to the critics. She remembered her own family's struggles with money and knew that the biggest barrier to building wealth wasn't intelligence or education. It was simply not having enough money to get started. Her program removed that barrier completely. Within 6 months, over 50,000 families had signed up for the Community Wealth Initiative. The average participant was investing about $40 per month, money they found by cutting unnecessary expenses and making smarter choices about their spending. The results were remarkable. After just 1 year, the average family in the program had saved over $600. Money they probably would have spent on things they didn't really need. More importantly, they were learning about investing, budgeting, and financial planning for the first time in their lives. Rosa's success didn't go unnoticed in Dubai. Sheikh Abdullah had been following her career closely since their meeting the previous year. He was impressed by her innovative approach to democratizing wealth building and realized that her vision could work on a global scale. In February, Rosa received an unexpected phone call from Dr. Mahmoud. Sheikh Abdullah wanted to invest $200 million in the Community Wealth Initiative, with plans to expand the program to middle-class families throughout the Middle East and North Africa. "The Sheikh believes your program represents the future of ethical investing," Dr. Mahmoud explained during their video call. "He wants to be part of something that creates opportunities for ordinary people, not just the wealthy elite." Rosa was thrilled by the partnership offer, but she insisted on one condition. Any profits from the international expansion would be reinvested into financial education programs in the participating countries. She wanted to ensure that families understood how to manage their money wisely, not just how to invest it. The partnership with Sheikh Abdullah brought even more attention to Rosa's work. Financial magazines that had once criticized her programs now featured her on their covers. Harvard Business School invited her to speak about revolutionary approaches to wealth building. The United Nations asked her to advise them on reducing global poverty through innovative financial programs. But Rosa's greatest satisfaction came from the letters she received from families who had been helped by her programs. Maria Gonzalez from Texas wrote about how the Community Wealth Initiative helped her save enough money for her daughter's college tuition. David Kim from California explained how the program taught his family to budget properly and avoid debt. Jennifer Thompson from Florida shared that her participation in the program inspired her to start her own small business. Meanwhile, Diego Martinez was thriving in his new role as Director of Facilities Management. The man who once cleaned floors now oversaw a team of 30 employees responsible for maintaining Sterling Financial's properties throughout New York City. He had completed his GED and was taking evening classes in business management at the same community college where Rosa had studied. "I never thought I would be sitting in board meetings," Diego told his daughter during one of their weekly dinners. "But you know what? All those years of cleaning taught me to pay attention to details and treat people with respect. Those skills work just as well in management as they did with a mop." Diego had become something of a celebrity himself within Sterling Financial. Employees loved working for someone who understood the value of hard work and treated everyone equally, regardless of their position in the company. His department had the highest employee satisfaction scores in the entire organization. The Sterling Foundation, which Rosa directed alongside her CEO duties, had opened financial literacy centers in 75 cities across America. These centers offered free classes on budgeting, investing, and debt management. They also provided small business loans to entrepreneurs who couldn't get funding from traditional banks. One of Rosa's proudest achievements was the scholarship program she created for children of service workers, janitors, security guards, food service employees, and others whose jobs were often overlooked by society. The program had already sent over 200 students to college, with full funding for tuition, books, and living expenses. Rosa often visited the scholarship recipients to hear about their experiences and offer encouragement. During one visit to Columbia University, she met with Ana Rodriguez, a freshman studying engineering whose mother worked as a hotel housekeeper. "Ms. Martinez, people tell me I'm lucky to be here," Ana said during their conversation. "But you showed me that luck is what happens when hard work meets opportunity. You created the opportunity, and my mom taught me the hard work." These interactions reminded Rosa why she had turned down Sheikh Abdullah's original offer. Money could buy comfort and security, but it couldn't buy the satisfaction that came from knowing you had made a real difference in people's lives. The business results spoke for themselves. Sterling Financial's profits had increased by 60% under Rosa's leadership. The company's reputation for ethical investing attracted new clients from around the world. Employee satisfaction was at an all-time high, and staff turnover had dropped to almost zero. More importantly, Rosa had proven that doing good and doing well in business weren't mutually exclusive. Her programs had helped over 100,000 families start building wealth while generating substantial profits for Sterling Financial and its investors. On the first anniversary of her promotion to co-CEO, Rosa stood in the same conference room where her journey had begun. Jonathan Sterling organized a celebration attended by employees, board members, and even some of the families who had benefited from Rosa's programs. "A year ago, many people thought we were crazy to promote Rosa," Sterling said during his speech. "Today, I can say with complete confidence that it was the smartest decision this company has ever made." As the evening wound down, Rosa found herself alone with her father in the executive dining room. They looked out at the city lights through floor-to-ceiling windows, both marveling at how far they had come. "Rosa, do you ever miss the simple days when we just cleaned offices together?" Diego asked with a smile. Rosa thought for a moment before answering. "I miss the time we spent together, Papa, but I don't miss feeling like we were invisible to the rest of the world. Now we have a platform to help other people feel seen and valued." Diego nodded, understanding exactly what his daughter meant. "Your mother would be so proud of the woman you've become. Not because of the money or the title, but because you never forgot where you came from." As they prepared to leave, Rosa noticed a young woman emptying trash cans in the hallway. She looked about the same age Rosa had been when she started working in the building. Rosa approached her with a friendly smile. "Hi, I'm Rosa. What's your name?" "I'm Carmen," the young woman replied nervously, probably wondering why a well-dressed executive was talking to her. "Carmen, are you in school?" Rosa asked. "Yes, ma'am. I'm studying accounting at the community college downtown. I work here at night to pay for my classes." Rosa smiled and handed Carmen her business card. "Carmen, I'd like you to call me tomorrow. I think there might be some opportunities here that could interest you." As Rosa and her father walked to the elevator, Diego chuckled softly. "Some things never change, do they, mija?" "I hope not, Papa," Rosa replied. "I hope they never change." The janitor's daughter had become one of the most influential people in American finance, but her greatest achievement wasn't the money she had made or the titles she had earned. It was the cycle of opportunity she had created, a cycle that would continue long after her own story was finished.